So there are 4 things that College Board expects you to be able to do with your graphing calculator. Graph in a specified window. Hopefully you've seen that video. Find where 2 functions intersect. That's what we're going to do in this video. Numerical derivative and numerical integral. So finding where 2 functions like x and x squared intersect are pretty easy, and you can do that probably in your head or algebraically, write those down. But we're talking about something harder, like, hey, maybe where does x squared intersect with sine of x? So let's look at that on the graph. And, oh, clearly x squared intersects twice. Now one, I don't know, I guess we just know. Let's zoom in here. When you're zooming in, it gives you a target about where you want the new center to be. I'll just leave that at 0, 0 and press enter. And so, then we already know this one, but we want to know, well, this point over here where these functions intersect. So one way to go is here under this calculations menu. And it's number 5. So again, we can press down, 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 or we can just press 5. And it asks us for our first curve. And it's up here in blue, whatever. So I'll just press enter, second curve, enter. And it asks us for a guess. And the reason it asks for us for a guess is sometimes functions intersect more than once. So if I choose something like you saw me do over here, it'll give me 0, 0. So we'll do that again. Calculations, or second calculations. I want intersections of first curve, second curve. There are only 2, so I can just go enter, enter. And it says guess. So it looks like this one is over. Maybe I'll just trace along. And you don't have to get exactly, but what you have to do is get far enough away that it doesn't give us this intersection point at 0. So notice, even though this is kind of between, reverts back to 0. So you want to get as close as possible. And heck, I could just, first curve, second curve again. I can just press 1. My guess is x equals 1. That's far enough over. Hey, it gives me these 2 points. So that's all well and good. And I could write that down. I probably don't need the y. I'd probably just write down 0.8767262. Okay, what if you didn't graph or something like that? Here under the math menu, what we're looking for is all the way down at the bottom. So I'm just going to press up, and that's called the numeric solver. If you have an older version, it'll just have equation equals 0, or I think it says 0 equals. So this is just one side of the equation and the other side of the equation. So we're just going to type in sine of x in the one and x squared in the other. So again, what we're looking for is the numeric solver. It's under the math menu, all the way at the bottom. And so I'm just going to do, I guess the order doesn't matter, x squared equal to sine of x. Now on yours, this OK button is right above graph. So if I hit graph, that's the same as pressing OK. If I press up, it'll go back. I could also press enter, and that'll go there as well. And so kind of like we were doing on the home screen, if I do, I wanted to do a negative. If I do negative 0.1 and press solve, by the way, solve is this graph button right now for you guys. It'll give me x equals 0 is the x coordinate of intersection. If I do 0.3 and hit solve, it reverts back to 0. So again, I kind of have to know the point of intersection I'm looking for. So if I go, notice we hit 1, we get 0.876726, all that same stuff. Okay. Cool. So there are a couple other things. And one of them is, a lot of people are just used to pressing this enter button. So let's say I thought it was going to intersect at, where will it not? -1. Because we know there's no way these things intersect at -1, and I press enter. Notice nothing happens, or at least it looks like I'm supposed to get -1. And you're supposed to be thinking, crap, that doesn't work, because it doesn't. And so what you need to notice is right above enter is, oh my God, solve is in green. So we can do it that way. We just have to hit alpha solve and it should jump to 0. Notice we get these dots saying, hey, we got something. Solution is marked dot. Okay, so that's that. Okay, one other thing, when things get complicated when we're doing free response problems, you're going to have a big, long, complicated something typed into Y1. Can you hear my kids yelling? Anyways, so instead of retyping those, we can actually just graph them or grab them here from this F4. So alpha trace or alpha F4. And I want Y1 as my first equation. And that just refers to whatever I typed in Y1. And in my second equation, again, I go alpha F4. And I want Y2. And so again, I'll get those same numbers if I type in 1 and hit alpha solve. I got that familiar 0.876. So that's how to find where functions intersect.